Let's take a deep breath on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Inhale. Exhale. Take a moment to be present. And welcome back to the channel. Okay. Joshua Tree back with another video. And the reason why I want to do this breath practice with you guys, because I want us to start getting into the habit of being more present and focusing on our breath to regulate our emotions. Okay. I'm a breathwork facilitator for people who are not aware of my channel and what I do and what I offer. And the breath is very important because it keeps you back in your body. All right. So I just wanted to share that with y'all. As you continue my journey, I will be doing more of that in the beginning of these videos. All right. So it's all about growth here. All right. We're all about growth. We're all about transformation. We're all about constantly trying to elevate. And we got to change our egos in order to do that. I would never have done that on any other type of thing that I've done in the past. But this is something different. Right. So anyway, now that I got that out the way, welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to talk about the spirit of judgment. All right. This video is for people who are trying to get deeper into self-love. So if you haven't watched my previous video a few weeks ago, it's titled How to Connect to God's Love Without a Bible. In that particular video, I talk about certain words that you can utilize during meditation to feel God's energy, to feel God's love, so you have a deeper connection with God. And as I've been continuing to doing this particular practice, I keep asking God, how can I develop, or better yet, embody more of God's love? And every time I keep asking these questions, I keep getting blockages or ideas about what's blocking me. The spirit of judgment. This is a huge block. Stay tuned for this video because you guys are going to get a bit of a occult science perspective, which I haven't really spoken an occult perspective in a very long time. So I'm excited to share this video with you guys. Okay. So let's just get straight into it. All right. I want you guys to pause this video and I want you to get an understanding of this entity or this energy or this terminology. Right. I want you guys to look up the word egregore. Egregore. Okay, this is how you spell it. Egregore. Egregore. All right. So pause the video and then come on back in. I'll give you 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we're gonna keep it hot. Now that you done pause the video and looked up what that means, I'm going to give you the definition of what that means. Okay, just for people who didn't do the research. All right. An egregore is not a single spirit with a specific name, but rather a thought form or an autonomous psychic entity created by the collective, sustained focus, and emotions of the group. Okay. It represents a group soul or collective conscious entity that becomes independent. Now, for people who are new to my channel, I want you to go back, if you can, to the videos that I used to make around taking a spiritual bath and the importance of taking spiritual baths, hugging people and entities, handshakes and entities. Like, look around that area. I talk a lot about thought forms and how thought forms are really possessive entities that take over our bodies and they share thoughts with us that is not us. And we internalize it as if it is us because we start to identify with it, thinking it's our personality. So a lot of the thoughts that you have in your mind is not you. Okay. They have been possibly thought forms that have entered into your psyche and is telling you these things that are hateful, that are disrespectful, that are self-critical, that is very harming to your well development, your well-being and development, and your self-esteem, your self-worth, et cetera, et cetera. So I wanted to share this definition with you guys because I want you to understand the judgment. The spirit of judgment is an egregore. It is a thought form. Okay, a thought form is a thought that has taken form. It is literally came into formation, and it impacts the collective. Okay, so when you think about judgment as a collective, everybody judges. So this is a field of consciousness. This is an actual energy that has spread out throughout the whole entire, let's say, physical plane. And everybody is influenced by this consciousness, this entity. Okay. It feeds off of us. And so think about it when times where, of course, you hear in the Bible, they say, thou shalt not judge and things like that. And you try not to judge, but you do it anyway because you're around other people who are also judging. So you find yourself still in the habit of judging. That's how deep this goes. Okay. This entity has literally found its way to normalize itself because we don't think about it as something that's like outside of us. We think it's normal. And how these things feed off of us because they normalize something that everyone has agreed to unconsciously, which is judging others. Right. So that's the definition. All right. We about to go deep. All right. So let's talk about it. Okay. We're talking about in this particular video how to connect deeper to God's love. How to connect deeper to God's love is to, let's say, address, identify, and remove the spirit of judgment, because the spirit of judgment is you judging yourself. Okay. So let's talk about the definition of self judgment. Okay. And I got my notes here, so that's why I'm looking down. The spirit of judgment is the act of being harshly critical, acting as one's own worst critic, perceived, acting as one's own worst critic, perceive failures, mistakes, and flaws, right? So what they're basically saying is you are so hypercritical over your flaws, over your failures, and over your mistakes. That's what self-judgment means. So if you are doing this on a consistent basis, how are you truly loving yourself when you're so hypercritical of yourself? Just take that into consideration. Now, this is why I want you guys to really dig a little bit deeper into this whole definition of self-judgment. I want you to ask yourself, who or what was the first time that you encountered someone that was self-judgmental or just judgmental in general, right? When did you first have the experience with the spirit of judgment? And if you do some deep analysis, right, some introspection, you will come to realize that your parents was the first set of people that projected the spirit of judgment onto you, and then you embodied it. So let me give you an example. When I was doing this work, I realized that I received the spirit of judgment from my dad. Okay. My dad was very hypercritical of me. All right. He used to always pay attention to my mistakes, pay attention to my flaws. Right. So what I realized is by him constantly, you know, criticizing my behavior and the way that I do things and my actions, I actually started to take in that criticism. So this is what I want you guys to understand. Whatever those thoughts that you hear in your mind, those are not your thoughts. That's 9 times out of 10 your parents' thoughts. Those are your parents' thoughts that you have internalized as if it's your own. So if you hear this harsh critic in your mind, and it sounds like it's always yelling at you, calling you dumb, calling you stupid, calling you foolish, saying, yelling at you when you make a mistake, right? Talking like if you have like issues with your skin, you don't like your teeth, you don't like your eyes, you don't like the way you look, that might be coming from your parent who didn't like the way you looked when you came out of birth, right? When we talk about failures, let's say you was playing a lot of sports coming up and you had your dad, used to always criticize the way that you do things. Oh, you don't know how to do a jump shot, or you don't know how to play football right, or you run too slow. You are internalizing all of this self judgment, and then it becomes your internal dialogue, and you mistaking it as it's your actual personality or it's your actual thoughts. But I want you guys to think about it. Who the fuck would sit up there and literally judge themselves at the ages from 0 to 5 or 5 to 10? When we're little children, when we're boys and girls, we're not thinking about ourselves to that capacity. We don't have that much level of awareness to bring our awareness to our own physical body and start to judge ourselves. That had to come to something that had to come from something outside of ourselves. Our parents are the ones who was the one always telling us to sit up straight, buckle your seatbelt, tuck in your shirt, walk a straight line. I told you to put on your shoes, put on your hat, put on your pants. Why you doing shit like that? Go sit your ass down somewhere. However they talk to us, we started to internalize that. And so those thoughts that we still hear today is not our thoughts. It's their thoughts. That's how thought form starts to form. It literally is projected into the psyche. And then being that we don't know ourselves, we start to identify with it, because you got to understand the way the subconscious mind works. The subconscious mind works by repetition. If your mama, your daddy constantly calling you stupid and you dumb and you foolish on a consistent basis, you're going to start to say, well, you know what? I guess I must be foolish. I must be dumb. I must be stupid, because you don't have an identity. So your parents' job is to create that identity for you to thrive in the world. And so whatever they're telling you is so pivotal and so critical that if they're telling you words of disempowerment and lack of self-love, you're going to embody that as disempowerment and low self-worth and lack of self-love. They are the ones who are creating your identity. They don't even realize it. So when they're telling you all this hateful shit, such as self-criticism, critiquing you, chastising you, because children are very, very, very impressionable, and they take everything personal. You're gonna take that in, and it's like, oh, I guess I must be dumb. Oh, I guess I must be stupid. Oh, I spilled milk on the ground. Oh, I hate that about myself. You're gonna keep telling yourself that. Oh, I hate when I make a mistake. You don't hate that you make a mistake. Your mom and your dad hate that you make mistakes, and they kept projecting it onto you so you can stop making mistakes. But what has happened, because this is how the way the subconscious work, is once they have told you that you need to stop doing this X and Y and Z so many times, it becomes normalized. And now you have this electric fence around your subconscious to where you know not to cross the barrier of making a mistake. So now they don't have to tell you that anymore. Now you have self-governed yourself. So now you are aware not to make mistakes. Now, someone may say, well, that's called discipline. That's called the child is finally adapting and finally understanding how to navigate in the world of not making mistakes. But that is not discipline. That is harsh criticizing and harsh punishment, and some form of verbal and emotional abuse by telling your child that you need to stop doing X and Y and Z, but right, and flipping it, and rather coming from a place of compassion and coming from a place of having more of a firm voice to where it can be received, and not feeling like something is wrong with the child. The child is going to perceive that as something's wrong with them when you speak in a manner that it's like, you need to go do this, you need to go do that. The child's gonna think something's wrong with them. But if you speak from a place of, my child is trying to learn how to put water into a cup or milk into a cup, and I have the compassion that they haven't learned the lesson yet, that is actually more well received, because now you're paying attention to their emotional side. Parents have high expectations to think that their children should know what they know at whatever age that they at, and they just don't, right? And so we internalize that. So as a result, like I said, a thought form is built, is created. Now it's running around in your brain, running around in your mind, and it comes in every time you make a mistake. It comes in every time that you judge yourself. It comes in every time that have any type of flaws or whatever. It comes in and says, "Yup, your ass look ugly today." When in reality, you probably think you're a very attractive person, but your mom or your dad probably have told you over the years, like I said, by criticizing you, that you're not an attractive person. So you carry this this entity. Okay, so boom. So I want to talk about that, right? So we're talking about, let's a recap. Okay, so y'all stay with me now. Stay present with me. Self judgment. I just shared the definition with you guys, okay? Self-judgment is the act of being harshly self-critical, acting as if one's own worst critic. If you got a worst critic in your head right now, if you know you overly criticize yourself, then you have a thought form called the spirit of judgment that is residing inside of you, and it's not that you created it. Your parents created for that. Your parents already was embodying it from their own upbringing and from the environment itself, and they projected into you, and now you carry the spirit of judgment. And I want to place emphasis on this, why I keep saying that you didn't create it, because I want you to think about other thought forms, or to even make it more simpler, positive thoughts that you have created for yourself that has gotten you out a lot of um, plight, struggle, right? For example, if you started working out for the first time and you never really worked out before, you never really exercised before, you never really had no one that was in your ear that's saying, keep pushing, go the extra mile. You can lift it. If you have no one to support your growth in that manner, what you're going to do is you're going to create a voice that's kind of like imaginary personal trainer in your mind to help you push through certain exercises, certain tough exercises. So I might be lifting 145 pounds. I never had no one support me in that way. So I'm going to be like, Josh, you got it. Keep going. You strong, Josh. You got it. You got it. You got it. We got it. Yes. By me keep doing that, I'm creating a thought form. So now every time I get to the point where I don't want to push anymore, that thought form comes in and says, push, Josh. You got it. You got it. You got it. You got it. And then I complete the task. It works on both ways. Okay. So I don't want y'all to think that thought forms are just this negative thing that's coming to corrupt you. Ooh, no, I'm not thinking that. I'm not saying that. What I am saying, though, is that the spirit of judgment is not a real energy. Okay. It is literally going against you loving yourself more, which you are God's self. So, and I say this, let me place more emphasis on this, okay? Because I'm hot right now. When I say loving yourself, I don't mean just in a physical shell. I don't mean just loving your facial features and your physical body. Yes, that's a part of it, but it also happens on 4 different levels, and that's what we're going to talk about, okay? So now that we got that squared away, we know where this thought form comes from. It comes from our parents. They projected it onto us. Okay. So those thoughts that you have are your parents' thoughts, your parents' thought forms. Okay. So this is where we're gonna get a little hot. Okay. This is what I want you guys to understand. Okay. This is what I want you to understand. This thought form, the spirit of judgment, just like any energy, it only exists if it has a food source, right? A parasite needs a host to exist. Every spirit needs a food source in order to exist. The food source that the spirit of judgment eats off and feeds off is your belief that something is wrong with you. Take a deep breath with that and understand what I mean when I say that. If you're constantly thinking in your mind, if it's on automatic, right? It's just on automated rerun, that something is wrong with me, that spirit is eating off of you. Because judgment is you judging yourself, thinking something is wrong with you. Your parents made you think something is wrong with you. That's how it feeds. Okay. I want you to harp on that. The food source is you have a belief that something is wrong with you. That's the core belief. That's the food source. Okay. So now let's get into the 4 levels that the spirit of judgment shows up as. We're going to start on a spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical level. Okay. So I'm going to give y'all a scenario, paint some pictures of what this looks like. On a spiritual level, the way spirit of judgment shows up on a spiritual level is you think that, let's say, for instance, you were in a church home, right? Let's say you are a religious person. Let's say that you are seeing people constantly catch the Holy Ghost, and you're wondering to yourself, why am I not catching the Holy Ghost? You're going to automatically assume something must be wrong with me, or I'm not spiritual enough, or I'm not anointed, or maybe I'm not God's child, or maybe I'm a sinner. You're going to automatically think negative about yourself. You're going to think something is wrong with you. So on a spiritual level, it's feeding off of you. Okay, that's one example. All right. On a mental level, the way that the spirit of judgment shows up is in a way that you think. Some people have neurodivergent brains. When I was coming up, I didn't know what the hell a neurodivergent brain was. And a neurodivergent brain means that you process and see things and think differently from the status quo, from the average Joe, from the atypical or neurotypical brain. So you see things completely different from the world. And so what society has done a good job at is making everybody think that they have to have a one-way mind of looking and viewing things. So on a mental level, like I said, if you have struggles with processing information, if you have struggles with focusing, if you have struggles with paying attention in school, let's just say that's a good example. Paying attention in school and having bad grades or whatever, you're gonna think to yourself, something must be wrong with me. I must be dumb. I must be not smart because I can't keep up with my parents, or I'm sorry, my peers, or my friends. Every time I try to watch something, I can't focus. Something must be wrong with me. You see how this shit keeps playing out on each layer? And that energy feeds off of that. Yep, something's wrong with you. And so what you do is you keep judging yourself. You keep judging yourself. You're not loving yourself. You're not loving yourself. You're not loving yourself. If you're not loving yourself, you're not loving God, because you are God. So you're not loving yourself. You're judging yourself on a mental level. You're judging your thoughts and the way you view things and the way that you process things. That is very unique from the opposite. That's the whole trick to this. You have to love your uniqueness. Your uniqueness is a powerful gift. It's valuable. It's needed in the world, because when you look at the world, the people who have changed this world is entrepreneurs. And entrepreneurs are people who are very creative. They see something that needs to be brought into the world of the norm, right? You're not normal. So if you're not normal, that means you're a creator. And if it means you're a creator, you can bring in new worlds. That is something to love. Okay. Third level, emotions. How does emotions get fed to the spirit of judgment? Emotions. For men, we have been told that we should not express our emotions. Naturally, that's going to make us think to ourselves, if we express our emotions, something must be wrong, or it's wrong to express our emotions, right? Or if we try to express our emotions, such as like shame, guilt, or some type of trauma, then people are going to look at us like something's wrong with us. It's like already set up. It's like we think as men that it is wrong to cry. We're like, oh no, I can't cry, whatever like that. And so if you get caught crying, you're going to automatically feel the judgment. Like people are going to think something's wrong with me. When in reality, you just need to release, because that's how your biology is set up. You just need to release and cry. But we're going to take it as something must be wrong with me, right? So on an emotional level, that's what that can look like. If you are judging your emotions, if you are not honoring your emotions and you're judging yourself for feeling sensitive, and you're saying, well, this can't work for me, I don't like this, or whatever like that, then you have the spirit of judgment eating off of that. You have to accept your emotions. Your emotions are like waves. They come and go, and they're meant to be accepted and experienced. You cannot experience happiness without experiencing sadness. If you keep placing emotions as if it's in a courthouse and it's being judged, you're going to place positive emotions in a category and negative emotions in a category. They have no category. They're just one energy. but we put them in categories so we can say, well, this is how I feel right now. And then we go off of our interpretation if it's considered bad or good. But it's not bad or good. It just is. You experience the emotion and let the emotion pass. Okay. There's nothing wrong with emotions. All right. Okay. Fourth level. The fourth level is the physical level. Now, when I was in meditation, I realized this was the most strongest part of this spiritual entity that takes over, the spirit of judgment. And it makes sense. On a physical level, this is what I do. Okay. Personal experience. What I do is I judge my gut belly, right? I'm trying to get my abs back right. So I'm always trying to suck my stomach in. I'm always paying attention to the little love handles I got right here on the side. I don't really got love handles, but whatever. Whatever I think, because this is really a good example. I think I got love handles. I'm criticizing myself so much that I think I got so much body fat. Someone would say, Josh, you small as shit. I say, no, I gotta do this. I'm judging my body. I was very, very hypercritical of my legs at one point. I was like, oh, I got the smallest legs. My legs are so skinny. My body is this. My legs are so skinny. And judging. A lot of us are stuck at this level. We didn't even get to the other three levels. A lot of us are stuck at the physical level. We can't get past the physical shell. We're so hyper fixated on how we look that we spend all time in the gym trying to change our appearance because we don't like our appearance. We don't accept our appearance. And so we're trying to find ways to manipulate it. And I'm not saying you can't change your appearance, because that's the whole thing about the physical body. It can change. But if you're so overly fixated on trying to look a certain way, that let me know that you don't love yourself. And you should know that you don't love yourself because you think that you have to look a certain way in order to feel better about yourself or to be accepted by others. This is not the path to loving yourself more. This is getting more away from the path of loving yourself more, because if you ever lose that ideal body that you're trying to go for, you're going to go right back into the dumpster. You're going to go right back into the darkness, and you're going to start to hate yourself again because now you lost this ideal body. This body is literally on a state of constant shifting. It's constantly changing. It will stay consistent looking a certain way, but you got to keep it up. But that's not the medicine for loving the body. It's all about accepting the body. Judgment cannot handle acceptance. That's the medicine. That's the antidote. That's one of the medicines, antidote. I'm going to share some more with y'all in terms of getting out of this whole spirit of judgment, right? So, physical level, right? Be mindful of the thoughts that you have towards your body. You're judging yourself. That's the spirit of judgment that's feeding off of you. You think something is wrong with your body. You think something is wrong with your face. You think something's wrong with your teeth. Right? Got the golds in my mouth, the white golds, right? You think something's wrong with your beard. You think something's wrong with your hair. You think something's wrong with your muscles. Flex. Whatever. You got to get out of that. You are not the shell. I want you to look at this like a physical car. If you bought this car, right, and it's taking you from A to B, you would not be judging the car so much as long as it can take you from A to B. If we chosen this life, we chosen our purpose, we chosen everything before we came here. We also chosen these bodies. We've chosen our parents. We chose all of this. So the look that you have, you chose that look for whatever particular reason. Accept it. All these things that I've shared up to this point is going to weaken the spirit of judgment. Okay. So that's the 4 levels, right? And so now let's talk about how to break or release the thought form that, let's talk about how to break or release this thought form. Okay. So this is what I want you guys to repeat. This is what I want you guys to repeat. This is what I want you guys to repeat. I said it 3 times because I just want you to repeat it, right? That's what I want y'all to do. I want you to close your eyes. Okay. Get into a meditative state. The easiest way to get into a meditative state is take 10 deep breaths in through the nose, in slow, and exhale out real slow. You want to shift your brain more into alpha state. You want to get that brain, you want to slow down your brain waves, basically, right? So you get more in a trance-like state, right? Once you feel like you're in that space, this is what you're going to do. You're going to use your third eye for this. You're going to say to yourself with your eyes closed, I am connecting to the spirit of judgment on a spiritual plane. I no longer need you. I release and detach. Say those exact words, okay? Then pay attention to any shifts that may occur. All right. Now, once that's finished processing, you're going to say it again, but this time you're going to switch it to another plane. You're going to switch it to to the mental plane. I am connecting to the spirit of judgment on a spiritual plane. I no longer need you. I release and detach. Okay. Pay attention to how you feel, any shifts that may occur. All right. Then you're going to do it for the emotional plane and the physical plane. You're going to say the same thing. You're just going to change the plane out. Okay. So for the emotional plane, last example, emotional plane, I am connecting to the spirit of judgment. And the reason why you're saying that, because the spirit of judgment is within you. So you want to connect directly to it. You can connect to any energy inside of your body with your third eye. So you're going to say, I am connecting to the spirit of judgment because you are aware of it now. So you're gaining its awareness. This entity has its own awareness too. It knows that you're trying to connect to it. That is so important. I am connecting to the spirit of judgment. Say it with conviction. Say it like you mean it. Okay. Don't be like, oh, I'm disconnected. But no, talk your shit, right? Because these things can't hurt you unless you give it energy. It can't do nothing to you. I am connecting to the spirit of judgment on a emotional plane. I no longer need you. I release and detach. These words are important because this entity thinks that you need it. It thinks that you need to rely on it. So when you tell it, I don't need you no more, I'm shifting from judging myself into loving myself. Every energy inside of us has a role that has to play and is acting out its role accordingly. The spirit of judgment is on its job every day. It's constantly getting us to judge other people. So it's just doing its job. So you're just releasing that energy from you, right? And so you do that with all 4 levels. Okay. And so the next thing that you want to do after you've done the meditation of that is as a reminder, I want you to remember this, okay? The spirit of judgment, or the egregore, okay, is a group spirit, is a collective spirit, meaning that this energy exists in the world. It exists in your local community, in your local environment, okay? So I want you to pay attention to the people that you associate with that are very judgmental, because they have that spirit on them. And if you're trying to release yourself from judging other people, and of course, more importantly, judging yourself, you need to stop socializing with people who judge other people. Now, uh, if you can't find yourself, if you can't, let's say, get away from people who are like that, because say you live in a household with people who are like that, you can speak your truth and say, look, you're very judgmental, you're very self-critical, I'm trying to get away from that, and set some boundaries, right? If they can't hold their tongue on judging other people, then get off the phone with them. Like, set some boundaries for yourself. Don't even try to, like, you ain't got to tell them too much about what you got going on. If you see that they start judging people, get off the phone, or don't even communicate. Don't even get into the conversation. Now, this is a practice because you do it so much that you're not even going to realize that you're doing it. But you have to just simply stop feeding it by talking about other people or criticizing other people. Okay. So remember, it's a group spirit. It is going to it's in your environment already. So the first step is always the first step is to externalize the pain. You have externalized the spirit from out you. Now it's going to try to fight to stay within you by bringing people around you that is also has the spirit of judgment. Okay. So, like I said, be mindful of the people you connect with. Okay. Stop them from communicating. Okay. Remove yourself if you have to. Okay. If you find yourself starting to judge other people, pause and stop responding, stop judging, switch topics altogether. Okay. And this would probably be the most helpful practice because I want you guys to understand something about judgment. Whenever you're judging someone, you're only judging yourself. Because when you look at that person and say, well, this person does this person does this person does that, you're doing that to either boost yourself up or you're doing that because you have the spirit of judgment that when you're judging someone else, they're a reflection of you. So if you say, oh, this person think they got, you say in the gym, right? You say, oh, this person got big arms. Who does this person think he is? You're only saying that because of either your insecurities or you're saying that because you have a part of you that is very glamorized that you are not aware of. So if a person got big arms, there's something about you that's glamorized that you take a lot of pride in, right? So you judging that person is really judging you. I want you to really look at it like that. Every time you're judging someone, you're only judging yourself. If you see someone that's like homeless on the streets, you're judging yourself because a lot of people who judge like that, they don't even know. You don't know where your life gonna end up at. You might be just like that person. So and go a little bit deeper with that. Homeless looks like a lot of things. Like homeless is just not being on the streets. Homeless is you could be staying with a friend and you ain't got nowhere to stay but by this friend's house. You're technically homeless. You don't have your own home. Okay. So and so whenever you judge other people, be mindful you're judging yourself. All right. And to make it even more easier, if you start judging someone, I want you to replace your body with that person's body and get the connection like, damn, I'm judging myself right now. Why I'm judging that person? I'm judging myself. Like start to take ownership of that and start to reframe it as I'm judging myself. I'm judging them, I'm judging myself. Let me stop judging them because I'm only judging myself. We all a reflection. This is all a one consciousness. Why you judge like this is at the end of the day, this is all one. We are all one. Okay. This is all a collective consciousness. So on an individual level, that's what creates the illusion because we think that, oh, well, this person is separate of me. They got this lifestyle. They got this certain look to them. They got this certain habit. I'm about to judge them. But on a deeper level, we're all one. So you're really judging the spirit of oneness. The fuck? So get out the habit of doing that. All right. And don't get me wrong, I'm still practicing it. Okay. So don't, I don't want to be like I'm Yoda. Like, you know what I'm saying? But it's so important because we're talking about connecting deeper with God. And for me personally, I'm willing to put all my money on the table to connect deeper with God, which is more about embodying God, not connecting to God. But we'll say this for the purpose of the video, connecting with God, to love God, which is to love yourself because you are aspects of the energy of God, right? So, yeah, I think I'm done. All my notes are done. So, hope this video made sense. You know what I'm saying? Um, if you rocking with the video, please drop a comment below. As everyone know who is new to my channel and who may not be new to my channel, I always try to bring videos to you guys that not only I have channeled and I felt was very extremely helpful, but also answer questions that you guys may have or some difficulties that you may be going through. That's why I always encourage you guys to drop a comment below and I will always get back to you and try to make a video or try to support you in some type of way because we in this together. All right. I'm sitting in this four corner room looking at y'all looking at me, and I'm just doing what I love to do, which is to teach and to help people. So that's what I'm here for. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, on that note, I'm gonna let y'all go. Peace.